In this age of streaming, audience retention, how long people actually watch your shows, your content, is king. Whoever can hold and captivate an audience gets all the views and makes all of the money. And we all know that YouTubers know this, but it's even more important on platforms like Netflix. For instance, shows like Wednesday, partially directed by Tim Burton, deploy a massive storytelling weapon to make sure their shows are as enticing as a box of pizza shapes. And what they did worked. With over 700 million hours streamed in just 2 weeks of releasing, this show has blown up and taken over the platform, breaking records and even dethroning series like Stranger Things Season 4.
It's massive. It is now the third, not all time overall, but the third biggest, most watched English language series on Netflix ever.
But why has this happened? Well, there's many things at play here. For one, the casting is great. For the most part, Jenna Ortega kills it in the lead role. The cinematography and the lighting are chef's kiss. And there's also a fair bit of nostalgia at play, being a spin-off from a well-known 90s hit, but it also gives off really strong Harry Potter vibes. It's a recipe made for success. But the real reason why this show has gotten 42 billion minutes of watch time in the first 2 weeks of releasing comes down to just one word: mystery. Mystery, something that is difficult or impossible to understand or explain. Now, if you haven't seen the show, I'd definitely recommend it, by the way. Here's a quick breakdown. So Wednesday Addams, a spooky, not kooky teenage girl with a family that shops at Goths R Us, arrives at a new school for outcasts, Nevermore. Basically, it's a school for all kinds of monsters and outcasts with spooky gifts. But despite this being a school that is filled with quote-unquote weirdos, Wednesday is still the fish out of water, which is kind of ironic because the only reason she's there in the first place is because she put some fish into water. More specifically, releasing some piranhas to chow down on some testicles. But Wednesday not only has to deal with all the angsty teen drama that high school brings, with romance, friendships, and enemies, but also has the threat of a serial killing monster who may be one of the students she's come to know. She was also nearly killed twice on her first day of school by another student because of a really well-drawn prophecy that told of the school's impending doom at Wednesday's hands. Add on to that a 25-year-old murder mystery that implicates her father as the prime suspect, and you have a really interesting first year of school. As the series unfolds, the ever-witty Weekday, starting with a W, seeks clues to uncover who the monster is, save her school and friends from impending doom from Miss America 1625, and clear her father's name, all in a tangled mystery that had me binging it in 2 days flat when I recently got COVID. Sorry about that. But what really pulled me through the series and kept me glued to the screen was the storylines revolving around mystery. We as humans have an inbuilt curiosity towards mystery. Think of murder novels, whodunits, mystery boxes, and even documentaries. We love to uncover secrets and answer difficult questions, or have other people answer it for us. See, with Wednesday, one of the main things that kept me hooked from the beginning were these difficult questions that I couldn't really easily answer. Things like, who was the monster? Who was controlling it? What was the end game of the monster? What was this prophecy and how did it all connect with each other? How was her father implicated in murder? And how is she gonna set him free? All of these mysteries intertwined with the personal relationships and general fun of the show kept me hooked watching episode after episode. And the reason why these were all difficult questions is, one, because they involved life and death, high stakes, but two, because they weren't easy to answer straight away. I mean, sure, yeah, some people are gonna say it was really obvious who was the main villain. Of course it's gonna be Wednesday Addams from the original show, but I didn't know that. But otherwise, you didn't know what the answer was gonna be. And so if you like the characters, you wanted to find out the answers to them. And that, my friends, is what keeps you hooked watching a show episode after episode. But imagine we did something completely opposite. Imagine right in the first episode, they revealed who the monster was. They told you what the end result of the prophecy was. They told you who was behind the whole plan. They cleared up the murder mystery straight away in episode 1. Would you have any motivation to keep watching the show? I mean, maybe if you like the cast, the characters, and the cinematography, but really it wouldn't be as interesting. And I would bet a lot of money that it wouldn't have broken all of those records. Now, it's probably an obvious question, but have you ever heard of a show called NCIS? It's been running for nearly 19 seasons and it is still going strong. And the reason why is because it deploys simple mystery structure to each of their episodes, which is really satisfying. And if we take a step back, you can clearly see this structure that they use for pretty much every single episode, and you see it in Wednesday too. So great mystery shows follow these 4 story beats. Firstly, they set up the impossible question, usually with a scenario. For example, it could be showing the discovery of a murder victim, which then leaves us several questions. Who was the murderer? How did they get murdered? What was the motive? Now, importantly, the show's creators only give us minor clues as to the actual answers to these questions. Again, if we found the cookie jar empty and we turned the camera and saw someone eating a bunch of cookies, that's not a great mystery. But if you don't know who it is, if they lead you on, they create these open questions where you want to find the answer, and it's not obvious who it is yet, then that is a mystery that you're going to stick around for to see it unfold. At this stage, the audience curiosity is ignited and we want to know the answer to this impossible question. They're hooked. Number 2, the investigation begins. Starting with nothing, the protagonist finds a clue which leads them to the next, essentially finding puzzle pieces after puzzle pieces as the story progresses, so you eventually begin to build the full picture. But herein lies a problem. If your protagonist finds clue after clue and leads them directly to the answer of the mystery, then it's not really satisfying and it's not an engaging story. Problems make the story more engaging. And so that's why the third strategy all great mysteries use is to bury the lead, presenting another viable option to the answer to the mystery. You know, you have multiple suspects as to who is the murderer in murder mysteries. In Wednesday, we had multiple candidates as to who is the monster, who was the person behind the whole scheme. This keeps us guessing and makes the answer to that impossible question still impossible. We don't know exactly who's done it. It could be 1 or 2 people or even 3. We don't know until the end of the story, which makes it so much more satisfying and so much more engaging. And then of course, all mysteries have to have that final reveal, the answer to that once impossible question. The more impossible the question, the more you throw off your audience, the more satisfying it's gonna be. But could this structure apply to YouTube videos? Well, imagine that you and I were gonna make a YouTube video on how anyone could run marathons 2 times faster. Now we could go down the traditional route of just making a top 10 list, you know, here's 10 ways that you can run marathons 2 times faster, number 1, and so on until we finish the list. Now that's a pretty obvious way to do it. It's fast, it's easy to make, it doesn't take much effort, and it gets the job done. But what if we used a mystery to make an entirely more captivating video? How would that go? Well, instead of doing a list, we could start off the video by showing an article that talks about a man who for 10 years of his life ran 4-hour marathons. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, with a minimal increase to his training, started running 2.5-hour marathons. Here's the thing though, he never revealed his secrets and now he's dead. Now that would be a great start to a mystery. Why? Because it presents an impossible question with high stakes for our viewer. They want to know the answer to it. They want to get those results and they know the answer to them is going to be impossible. So they're now hooked into the journey we're going to take them on. We then follow those same mystery story beats, investigating, finding clues, interviewing people, leading us on to next people, burying the lead where we find this tip from someone else, we try it, it doesn't work, so we go back into our investigation and eventually find the answers as to how this guy increased his speed 2 times. We try it, it works, we solve the mystery, it's satisfying, and can you imagine how much more captivating this video would have been compared to that list style content? This is how we can use mystery to make videos 10 times better and much more captivating, get your audience retention up through the roof and get you the results you want. So let me know, how are you gonna use mystery in your next video? Peace, and always remember, you're only one video away.